because I think that this mom is busy nursing here on the side of the mound. Give us a nice view of these cubs using mom as a bit of a jungle gym, but also as a milky bar. There we go, having dinner. Now, as we said with the lions a couple of nights ago, it's expensive to produce milk. It's far easier just to bring cubs to a carcass and let them feed on meat on their own and to metabolize energy from that rather than produce milk. But mama hyenas are some of the best mothers in the world and will continue to produce milk for up to 2 years, whereas a lion cub is fully weaned at 9 months. And because of that, the mother hyena, the dominant mother hyena, needs to get as much meat as she can, and hyenas over the ages dominant female hyenas over the ages have produced a bit more testosterone, which gives them a higher competitive advantage over anyone else, and so they will dominate kills. They therefore have the best milk and will have the strongest cubs, and they'll also bring meat back to the den. It's not very common though, and quite often if a subordinate female had to bring meat back to the den for her babies, it's usurped by the dominant female's cubs. And so it's quite common to find subordinate females taking their cubs to kills earlier than what the matriarch will take her cubs to kills. It's just that hierarchy amongst the social order of these hyena. Now, David, you wanted to know if male hyena have any role in the rearing of these cubs? Yes, absolutely, David. There'll be an alpha male as well, and he can actually be quite big as well. All the males of a particular clan will be faced with a choice. Do they become nomadic and become basically pariahs? But 9 out of every 10 of the babies born to a clan are born from these males, from these very low ranking but nomadic males. Or does a male choose health and well-being and status in a clan and unfortunately then give up his option to sire babies? So the males that choose to stay in a clan will help to protect the clan. They will get food. They will be protectors of the young. Even though those babies are not their own, they will defend the clan lands and play a very positive and beneficial role in the clan society, with the exception of spreading those genes to the next generation. That, unfortunately, is the price that nomadic males pay, is that they've got to scavenge themselves, not welcome anywhere, but they will father children. Next, you wanted to know if a nomadic male hyena would kill a cub that wasn't theirs if they came across it. Next, no, I don't think so. I mean, it's possible. I mean, why not? But there's so many female hyena in a clan, and it's not just the matriarch that'll have cubs, that I think that a male hyena, nomadic male hyena, who is totally subordinate to every other hyena, would play his chances, woo the female in the clan, be allowed to father the next generation, but then they're not welcome there anymore. They must move on. And if they don't, they'll be attacked and could even be killed. So it's not in the best interests of a nomadic male to antagonize the hierarchy and the dominant females, because he'll be killed, and then what's the use? What's the use of the sacrifice? Oh, this is very cute, but I'm sure just as cute as Jamie and that Blackrock Pride's lion cub. So go and have a look at them for a bit.
We're really spoiled for choice this afternoon by the sounds of things. Look how utterly adorable these cubs are. Hey, Mum. you ruined our view. Shame. She's tucking into a very well-deserved meal. With this many cubs wandering about, I can only imagine how exhausting it is. this little one. Oh, searching for a place now. No. Cubs flying off everywhere. Sound effects are really stunning today. Cape turtle dove. Crunch of zebra. Little yowls of cubs. There's a fully grown zebra as well, so they really had a good meal out of that. Or at least it was almost a fully grown zebra. It's a bit hard to tell in the condition that it's in. I think, judging by the leg, I think it was an adult zebra or a close to adult zebra. So I've been trying to do a head count. I've definitely counted 7. I'm still waiting to see where the other 2 are. I'm sure they're here though. It's difficult. There's a couple of little bushes they could easily be sleeping behind. Three, 4, 2, dream. You want to know if I've ever heard of siblicide between lions. It's very, very, very unusual that occurs, and it's usually not siblicide. It's usually completely accidental, and in a situation where there are older cubs and then young cubs are introduced to the rest of the pride, perhaps a little bit too young, perhaps they're not quite strong enough yet, and their older cousins will get slightly boisterous with them. And of course you can see how tiny these little creatures are and how fragile they really are, although they're tougher than we give them credit for. But you can see how tiny they are. And when an older cub comes in, particularly over the 6-month mark, they might just lose control a little bit. They might not realize just how big they truly are or know their own strength, and then they sometimes kill little cubs. That's why the mother keeps, one of the big reasons why the mother keeps the little ones secret and safe for as long as she does, and doesn't introduce them to the rest of the pride. It's wisdom on Mother Nature's part to keep those cubs safe, but siblicide, no, not really. It would be highly, highly unusual for such incredibly social creatures. It's actually less common than thought with spotted hyena as well. It's quite unusual, and in fact usually happens in times of really limited resources. Which is not something these cubs are going to have to worry about at the moment. Good question, Paula. So Paula's question is, how nutritious is milk versus meat? Milk is more nutritious than meat, and the concentration or the distribution, that's not the word I'm looking for, but basically the balance of nutrients within a lion's milk can in particular, the females have very, very nutritious milk. So the milk is more nutritious, but that at the same time takes its toll on the female's body, because she's the one that has to produce it, which is why she cannot continuously produce it for the cubs for an extended period of time, and why their diets are supplemented with meat. Obviously they are going to grow up to be obligate carnivores. It is very much also dependent upon a growing body's needs, and the development of the digestive tract and the development of the teeth and the jaws so that they can feed on meat. Obviously it would be impossible in the beginning. The older they get, the more they'll be able to consume more meat and the less milk they will need from the females. I always think that the older cubs have it the best, because even when their mother stops lactating at a certain age, once they reach a certain age, if they've got younger cousins, they'll be able to feed from their aunts. Look at you. Ferg, you see that bush right there?
You want to roll back?
Well, yes, I do want to roll back, but I was going to ask if you could just jump out and move it, actually.
No, it's gone.
Oh, it's gone. Hey, little cub. Hard to pick a spot here. So while I figure out which particular spot is best, or while I try and convince Fergus to just get out and do some gardening, they're just tiny bushes, Fergus. I don't know what you're worrying about. We're going to go back over to James on the other side of the river with one of my favourite lion brides.
They are sleeping, they have not got up at all. Except for the one that is up now. The cubs keep looking up towards the Ololololo escarpment where the zebra are sort of alarm calling and shouting at each other. Topi have moved off. Lionesses have gone to sleep. But that little cub that you're looking at is now looking towards a magnificent little herd of elephants. I say magnificent because, well, of course they are elephants, and so therefore they are by default magnificent. Let us go towards them. I'm very glad the Black Rock Pride cubs are out and about and feeding at a kill with meat, no less, and that we have so many hyena cubs awaiting my return to Djuma. Somebody seemed to start some sort of a rumour that I was leaving Safari Live. I don't know why or how that came about. I am not leaving Safari Live. I have no intentions. No one else would employ me, so it would be a really silly move on my part. So no, I'm not going anywhere. I am going back to Djuma though in a little while. Now let's stop over here. This is the same group of elephants. She of the orthodontic need. And they've come quite a long way down towards this area, and we've got just some stunning views here of the storm behind them that originally fell on Leo Smith and Patterson. We'll just sneak a little bit closer and then we'll have a look at this magnificence. We're not going to leave those lions. We're just going to kind of look around in their immediate environment. Here we have the elephants. Things starting to cool down a bit now. And you can see the rain coming out of the sky now on the sort of edge of the storm. We're hoping very much that it won't come towards us, aren't we, Craig? You can hear Craig shouting there, hopefully, yep. The problem with the cameraman, you know, you've got to be very careful about who you hire, because some of them, like Craig, are so loud you can hardly hear yourself think. Always nice to see little ones suckling like that. Yeah, Gilly, I think you're probably right. I'm pretty sure that they do live a little bit longer here. Gilly said, do the elephants here live longer than they might, say, in the Kruger, because they have softer food to eat. They don't eat nearly as much wood and bark, and, you know, they don't go through a 3 or 4 month period where that's all they eat. So, for those of you who don't know, elephants have a certain number of teeth in their lives, and the last tooth apparently comes through when I think they're about 55 years old, and at the end of that, the tooth, when those teeth wear down, the animal will eventually starve to death. So while I don't think that the last tooth is delayed, so I think that's pretty much genetically programmed, you know, the last tooth will come in probably around about the age of 55, you may well find that that last set of teeth lasts a lot longer in these animals here and in places like the Okavango, where the elephants are able to eat much softer food. So yes, I would say probably a year or two extra, maybe even a little bit more than that. But remember, it's not cumulative over the years. Granny, you're wondering if teeth... Granny, if our teeth are made of the same material as elephants' teeth and tusks. Yes, largely dentine and enamel. Those are the things that our teeth are made of, and that is largely what an elephant's teeth are made of. I think you'll find that there's a lot more enamel or ivory on the front of the tusks. That's, of course, the hard bit that it stops your teeth from sort of caving in under the strain of eating toffees and suckers, as Craig was eating earlier today. And you'll find there's a lot more of that in the tusks than there are on the molars that these elephants have. But essentially, yes, it will be very similar. Interesting that nobody pulls human teeth out to make little carvings out of them. I've met one or two people who have teeth big enough for that, but it's certainly it's the same thing. It's one of those things that I find astounding. It's a little bit like the rhino horn thing, where people are prepared to kill rhino to eat their horns, and they may as well be chewing their own nails or eating their own hair. Same kind of stuff. Beautiful little picture here of this herd. And it's so silent. I'm just going to be quiet for a second. Only sound I can hear is the tearing of the grass as the elephants pull it out the ground. There's not a bird. The wind's dropped. It is quite astonishing, actually. I hope this isn't a sort of cliched calm before the storm, but I think we're going to avoid that rain. Let's just sneak very slightly closer. Just look behind me, make sure those lions haven't got up. They haven't. They're in exactly the same place. In our totally stealthy, utterly silent, odour-free vehicle. Just get a little bit here. Simon, you want to know if the elephant here is related to Fang at Djuma. I would say the chances of them being related are about as high as my chances of being related to Vladimir Putin. So no, I don't think they're related at all. They are separated by some 2,500 miles, Simon, and the point of my saying that to you is, or the point of me telling you about the distance, is that it's not even a contiguous wildlife area, and so, you know, you've got to get through cities and farmlands and all sorts of other kinds of areas before you'd get to the Kruger. So the chances of there being genetic flow between the populations of elephants here in the Mara and the populations of elephants in the Kruger are it's almost negligible. So I mean, while it would be not entirely impossible for an escaped elephant to make its way down to another area of Tanzania, breed with an elephant there, and that elephant would break out and, you know, kind of follow a chain further south through protected areas and somehow manage to get over the farmlands and cities and towns that I've mentioned, and eventually find its way or make some kind of a genetic chain to the Kruger population. Immensely small. Be quite a nice film to make about it happening, but no, highly unlikely. I don't know when Fang was last seen, Simon. I must remember, though, we were chatting about this morning, actually, that the elephants of the Kruger will move. They move big distances, and especially seasonally, and round about this time of the year, as the grass starts to come up, especially after there's been a bit of rain, they will move quite a long way north towards the Satara area, to the grasslands of Satara, which are about 100 kilometers north, 60 miles north of where Djuma is now. So Djuma is a really good winter spot for them because there's always water. I thought, Simon, I thought you might have been pulling my leg, because I nearly laughed when I heard the question. I do think it's So that's very nasty, because of course we're not allowed to pretend that questions are perhaps less than well thought out. Simon was joking, everyone. He didn't really think that this elephant was related to Fang all the way at Djuma, some 2,500 miles away. Thank you, Simon, for clearing that up for me. It is quite interesting, though, that there is no genetic flow anymore between these areas, and I think it's given rise to the fact that both the lions and the elephants and all the other animals that occur in both places, populations are not contiguous, which means that they will start to show phenotypical differences. In other words, they will start to look different from each other. And that's just because time has separated the populations for so long that, they just develop their own characteristics for various reasons, sometimes because they have different ecological needs, and sometimes through a process such as sexual selection, where certain traits are selected sort of almost randomly and then selected for, and so they become quite accentuated. The classic example of the peacock's tail being a good example. Why is this elephant next to us showing a sense of displeasure? I'm just going to look to see if those lions have moved. No, they haven't. They're in exactly the same place, flatter than they were before. So the lions here, for example, have got longer ears. There's no question they've got longer ears than the ones at Djuma. I cannot find a developmental or evolutionary reason for why they should need ears that are sort of a centimetre or two longer than the ones in the Kruger. So that's just a nice example of what happens when populations are separated by geographical or human boundaries, in this case, that they cannot cross. And so there's just no genetic flow between the animals here and the animals of the Greater Kruger National Park. Thank you, Simon, for bringing that to our attention through your very amusing question. Is this elephant related to Fang? Now, human beings, of course, are able to travel across geographical boundaries, and so interestingly, possibly the only animals in the world where genetic flow is increasing between populations. And so we're going to go across to a human being to whom I am not related, and that is, of course, is Stefan van der Boer.
We're still at the hyena den, having some fun looking at these hyena, that's for sure. They, excuse me, the female that's nursing these two cubs is still nursing. And what's interesting is the darker cub, this one approaching us now, seems to be the more dominant of the two. It chases away and chases around the more spotty cub. But interestingly enough, the other adult hyena that is here also nursed from the female and is being bullied by, not by both, no, but definitely by the darker cub. Oh, well, there we go. I think if I were to guess what's happening here. Hello. You're very precocious, eh? Come, smell your piece of grass. Should I act subservient to you? Are you a princess? You definitely got the right attitude for a princess, that's for sure. Hello. I love their mouths. They always look like they're smiling at something. Brady, you want to know by what age the adult cubs will get their color? It happens fairly quickly. This little guy is right next to me. Have a look here. Hello. 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 How amazing is this? This is trust. That's what happens after many, many years of not competing with these animals for food and for space. What are you smelling? Yeah, this is a Land Rover Defender. Senzo and Stefan. I'm definitely not going to be offering up my rear quarters for you to smell. That would be rude. And being male, I think myself and Senzo wouldn't be welcome here. Hello, you're following your sister's lead. See, not as bold as the sister is. I think this is a young male. Tail curled under, not flicked up, submissive behavior. So what's interesting is that elder one there that's now bullying the precocious cub. I actually think that that's an older female from the same mom. And I think it's difficult to say if that's the princess or not. But definitely that older hyena was nursing from the nursing mom. Oh, what's happening? You saw that. Very skittish. Something out of the ordinary happens, even if it's just a noise. And adults head away from the den, cubs head into the den. They don't stand and defend the den. The cubs are left, not defenseless, they can hide inside the den. They build their own chambers inside there. But adults will usually skedaddle rather than stand and fight at a den entrance. It's completely different to lion. Oh, you're having a scratch. You have a scratch. It's chewing on that stick. Now, hyena's teeth itch never endingly. And they chew everything. Edge Macy, you'd like to know what is a hyena's survival rate, their mortality rate. You see a lot more hyena than what you do lion. I would imagine it's half of a lion's. Lions is averaging out across Africa at about 70% mortality rate before the cubs are, or before the cubs are a year old. I would imagine that hyenas are about half that, maybe even less than that. I haven't ever read anything that talks about their mortality rate, but you definitely see more spotted hyena, and they are super predators just like lion are, and so I'd say that they make better moms, better families. This one's being bullied all over the place. You see he's going to put up a bit of a fight now. Hyena cubs are given a certain amount of esteem, I should say. But I definitely think that this older hyena, the one that's bullying this younger one now, is a hyena of very high standards, or very high up in the social hierarchy. And I think that this is a young male cub. And now they're coming to play on that stick now again. So getting back to the fact that these hyena practice chewing on these sticks, and it's really just to develop those massive jaw muscles, which you can see. Hyena skull is actually triangular, but you look at it from this angle and the hyena skull looks round, and it's because of those muscles that sit behind the ear and between the ear, behind the eye, between the ear and the eye, and then that overdeveloped neck. Let's see what these guys do now. Hello? Yeah, smell me. No, let me smell you. No, please smell me. No, let me smell you. It's this endless game with hyena. Yeah, you see, I wasn't going to offer myself up for that inspection. When they came close, this youngster now chewing on his branch. Isn't it really awesome? See the scars on the face of this hyena. Being bitten across the nose, across the muzzle at some point. It's not uncommon for them to get into fights where they do some damage to one another. You see the fights over the nose. Now he could have been bitten by a lion, clawed by a leopard, bitten by a leopard, bitten by another member of its clan. But it looks like it's all safe and sound now. Ears are in good condition, barring that tick on the right-hand side ear. It's a good do with a bit of a groom from a fellow hyena. These two are busy chewing at their stick. And just every time they bite, it makes the itch in their gums less, and they exercising those muscles. Bite the whole time. Watch those muscles in the head flex every time they bite. And pull and twist, and really, really nice. and bite some more. Right, why don't you go and have a look at what those lion cubs of Jamie's are doing?
The lion cubs are lying under what is really truly the most extraordinary sunset. After the rain that we've had off to the west, it is absolutely beautiful, and it makes the sousing that we received earlier all worthwhile. To sit and look at a scene like this under skies like that, I don't think anybody could possibly complain. Apart from about the flies. The flies are a little bit too personal. One of them just flew up my nostril. By the way, did a head count when all of them came out into the open. All 9 are present and accounted for. So all of them alive and well. I just love their feet. Lion cubs' giant feet. What happened there, Ferg? You okay?
Pan bar accident.
Pan bar accident. I hear those can be fatal.
Handle.
Be careful. It's the flies. It's definitely the flies. They've been plaguing us.
There's another one.
It's too sweet. Hey, little ones. Now, Dumb Shark, you want to know, and I might have misheard this, you want to know if lions coat better. Did I hear that right, Kirst? Coat. Oh, does their coat look better? I was a bit confused. I was going to say yes, they definitely coat better when there's more food around. Yes, okay. Sorry, I understand. Is their coat in better condition when there's more food around? Yes, I imagine that it is, actually. You'll find that in South Africa their coat tends to be thicker in winter and thinner in summer. I doubt it changes much here. But yes, I think that the food availability will affect the condition of the coat. I would say that there is quite a sort of high threshold for that, though. So a lion would have to be in really bad condition for it to start to lose its coat, and sometimes it's not connected to food availability at all. Like, for example, I mean, that this is a really obvious example, but like with the mage with the sticks, that's obviously caused by external factors. But yes, I suppose much like human beings, if you deprive a human being of certain vitamins and minerals, their hair will start to fall out. I know that's what happened to me in my first year in the UK. And the doctor had to put me on vitamin D tablets. I was not used to not seeing the sun. So yes, I imagine if lions were short of certain nutrients, certain types of nutrients, it would affect their coats. I just love how fluffy the little cubs are. Of course, each and every single lion cub within a pride will be connected, whether it's a brother, sister, cousin, or, well, Chitwa. But there are also other familial connections throughout the Mara in South Africa. Let's go back to an elephant with James.
I'm not sure how the elephant with me is a familial connection to Jamie, but yes, the elephants are familial. Oh, I see, we're talking about Fang, I see, good, yes. Very good. Here they are, with the Fang of the north as opposed to Fang of the south. And, well, they're not alone. They have just had the sunset there behind them. Now, I found something else on this clearing, and I said, Craig, oh, look, there is a black rhinoceros. And he said, that small thing. So I was deflated again. Twice in one day have I been deflated by Batman. Anyway, I'm going to show it to you where it is, so that you may marvel at my ability to look through far-looking binoculars. Look over the top of my finger there, Craig. There, can you see it? Craig, say yes or no. Yes, there its ears are, just flicking. I will confess to you that it has just lain down, so that is why I can see it now. Well, that's how I saw it. I wouldn't have seen it before. So we're going to go and have a look at that. I'm just going to say, hang on a second. Craig, just go across the lion. Lioness is up. She looked like she might be about to stalk something, but I don't see anything that she could stalk. Let's sneak slowly up towards her and make a wide arc towards the black rhinoceros as well. Surrounded by magnificent animals we are here. I don't see anything that the lioness could have gone for. And I think these lionesses perhaps miss a trick or two by only hunting in the darkness, because the warthogs, which are ideal in this kind of environment, I would have thought, because they can't see over the grass. And so one of the very few things that a lion is taller than is a warthog. So I would have thought they were a very clever thing to be hunting. But seemingly not. Apparently the Angama pride likes to have the odd piece of bacon or gammon. Now, Louise, you were asking what the lion's favourite food is. I mean, basically they'll take anything they can. Definitely during migration season it's wildebeest, unsurprisingly. And around about now, I know these guys take quite a few zebra. We've seen them. In fact, these two lionesses killed a buffalo on their own the other day. So they kill buffalo. I haven't seen them on topi, but I'm pretty sure they eat topi as well. Just starting to get dark now. Now the lioness has gone back to lie on her belly, so I'm going to angle us away. Just stay with us, because we're going to have to sneak very slowly up towards this rhinoceros, because I suspect it will be slightly less than slightly less confiding than the elephants have been, for example. So we're just going to sneak slowly up towards him, or her. I don't know if it was him or a her. I couldn't tell at that distance. We're just going to keep an eye on those lions too, because we don't want to have spent all this time with them only to miss them doing something other than yawn and sleep. They're looking a bit restless, and they have done since we found them, so that's good, as Scott would say, good prospects for the afternoon or the evening. Now, Craig, I hate to confess this to you, but I don't know where the rhino is anymore. It's lying down. I don't wish to puncture my tyre on its horn by getting too close. Do you see it, Craig? Shout loudly if you do. You don't see it. Aaron, you're wondering if there's better protection of rhino here because we're showing them on TV and giving away location than there is perhaps in the Sabi sand, because we don't show them in the Sabi sand. No, Aaron, I don't think so. I mean, there are only 16 of them in the Greater Masai Mara, so no, I don't think there's better protection. I think that there are obviously, there are definitely fewer people around this area than there are around, say, South Africa, and Kenya certainly hasn't had anything like the trouble with poaching that we have in South Africa, and so that's probably why we do it. I think also that you'll find that our approach to rhino in the Sabi sand will modify slowly. We obviously didn't want to take any chances at all that perhaps we could be contributing to the poaching problem. I think we are fairly confident that we aren't. I'm 100% confident that we aren't. Remember that people can come down into this area and track these animals much more easily than they can gain access to YouTube and, watch us and then guess where we are. So, I don't think that there is any actual contribution to poaching by us doing what we're doing. In a country like South Africa, where I suppose the broadband networks are that much more extensive. Remember that our rhino policy was made right at the right at the very, very beginning of our sort of operations there, and certainly we didn't want to take any risks, so rather be overcautious than undercautious. And I think you'll find over the next little while we may modify our approach in a sort of consultation with the Sabi Sands authorities and in consultation with our viewers. We're sneaking up on him. I can see him. I don't want to startle him, so we'll just probably angle away from him slightly, or her, could easily be a her. Stephen, you say, will the rhino charge the car? Well, in about 10 minutes we should find out. I hope not. I don't think so. Remember, animals will normally only charge... I don't have huge experience with black rhino, of course. There we go, let's stop here. He's got up now. Animals will normally only charge anything, vehicle, other animal, or a human being, if they feel cornered. Now, a semi-blind animal like this can very easily feel cornered, but it's in such an open area here that it would be highly unusual, I think, were it to decide that we were to be attacked. What a magnificent creature that is. Isn't that beautiful? And that is the black rhino. And I can count on my 2 hands how many black rhino I've seen. Oh, Joshua, you want to know if rhino are wanderers or if they have a set territory. Joshua, they are absolutely territorial creatures. Very territorial, both males, or males especially. Females, yeah, females less so. In fact, females much less so, but the males are very territorial, both black and white. And what's interesting to me is that where they live in the same area, in places like Kruger and Natal, or Mfolozi, they share middens, which is fascinating. So you can find a midden of a black and a white rhino in the same place, and they just use them as territorial markers. Normally what happens is the bulls will keep a territory, and the females will kind of move around between bulls' territories, and often you will find cows with severe injuries that have been inflicted on them by bulls who have wanted to try and keep them within their territories so that when the mating time comes they have a wife. That is a solid creature, isn't it? Now, noticeably smaller. I know you saw one with Brent earlier, so I mean, stop me if you've heard this before, but noticeably smaller than a white rhino, less than half the size. That's why Craig thought it was a warthog, didn't you, Craig? It's the size of a sort of, it's almost, I guess, 1.2 to 1.5 times the size of a buffalo. Take care, there is so much about a rhino we don't really understand. You say, why do they have 2 inline horns? I think it's a throwback to its evolutionary past, when it was hunted by animals like the saber-toothed cats that used to roam vast proportions of the world. They don't actually have huge numbers of predators these days. The only predator that could take down an animal that size would be a very, very large and extremely desperate pride of lions. A massive clan of hyenas could potentially take down an injured rhino or a baby rhino, but a little thing, I mean, an animal this size, weighing in at round about 2,200 pounds, is pretty much immune from predation. So why they have horns like that, I don't know. It's a little bit like asking the question as to why elephants are so aware of predators when, I mean, the chances of being taken out by a predator if you're a fully grown elephant, or any kind of elephant, very, very small indeed. Isn't that gorgeous? There's Angama Mara, where we live, just up above. Really stunning picture there of one of the most endangered animals in the world, the black rhinoceros. And I forget exactly which subspecies this is, but it is, I'm not sure if it's the most rare. I think it might be the rarest subspecies. And obviously their eye is not particularly fantastic, so listening to our voice, of course. Alrighty, we're going to leave this fellow. We're going to head back towards our... I just quickly want to tell you that, of course, that nick in the ear, those nicks there are probably cut by people so that he can be identified. So we can head back to South Africa now. We're going to go back and see those lions, make sure they haven't escaped us. And while we do that, we'll send you back to Stefan Winterboer, who doesn't seem to have driven very far at all today.
Have a look at this little guy. He has a toy. It's the vertebra of some animal that's been brought into the den, and it looks like it's been buried for a little bit, but still has a few scraps of tendon or meat left on it, and is now the toy thing for this little hyena. Just have a look at that. Trying to get every last scrap out of there. And in the process, growing those massive head muscles that they need. Here comes the other one to chase him away from the toy. Hey, hello. Give me my toy. Yes, I bully this one, man. Where are you going to take this? Chewing, endlessly chewing everything. Now they're going to go and wrestle. That's what makes them such good value for money, is the fact that they just never really sit still for anything. The females and the older members of this clan will head out of the den in the next probably the next hour or so, and spend most of the night foraging for food, stealing food from leopards, from lions that are not wary enough, catching their own food. See how full this female is. She's actually got a full belly even now. Dumb Shark, you want to know how well hyenas can see at night? I think at least as well as what lions can, and I think lions can see as well as what we do with these infrared lights on, and that is exceptional. I think even with a minimal amount of light, these hyenas are able to see where to go, where to hunt. I mean, it's very difficult to say what they see because we're not looking inside their heads of them. But their light receptive organelle are very well developed. Large eyeballs, lots of rods. Look here, they're coming in now to share in the spoils. I want to just crack it open and utilize whatever they can from the bone, including whatever marrow is inside there. Look, that little cub couldn't crack it open. This female is just cracking this thing. And crack, let's hear. Now, Palin, you want to know if it's true if hyenas have the strongest bite force. Palin, they definitely have as strong a bite as a lion, which is almost 4 times their, well, let's call it 3 times their size. The lions have a strong bite force. Hyenas have a power to weight ratio that's far greater than what lions are. But the strongest bite comes from an alligator, the North American alligator. That's the animal on the planet that has the strongest bite. I would say that crocodile's closing force is immense. I don't think it's been measured yet, and I don't think that hyenas would be there. They're headed off now. So that's it for these adults for the day. They're going out now to go and forage for the evening. The cubs won't go with. Well, let's see if they do, but I think they'll come running back to the den and go in for some cover now. But to come back for that, hyenas definitely have, on a powerful weight ratio, have got stronger jaws than lion. At a third of the weight, they've got an equal bite force. And that is incredible, considering. Is hyenas going to call now in the distance? Let's see if they call loud. It's the youngster that's coming back that was here at the den when we arrived. It's been off somewhere. There's another hyena here somewhere. Get through there. There's another hyena. There's the baby there. There might be another den here, or at least just a resting spot for other members of this clan while the matriarch dominates this clan. There might be other hyenas in the area that come and lie up here through the day and just stay nice and close to the den side. They're communal dens, and so more than one female can have babies here. And these little cubs are now coming back here through the trees towards us. Oh, they've picked up something. What they got? Little scrap. Hey, well done. And of course the precocial cub has it. I'll spot you one following. Let's see what they do. Hyenas fight like this over food, you know. They display every bit of that feeding behavior that we see at carcasses, where they'll run in and fight one another. Let's see how this goes. Oh, rubbing themselves in that dirty piece of meat. You go. There we go. Now you smell good. Lots of perfume. So, let's stole it again. Let's see if they have a bit of a game. Catch. Yes, that's cool. Let's see them go. No, you're not allowed to have a bit of my toy. You're getting a bit self-conscious there. It's the insecurity that having no adults around brings with it. They're always close to the den. Don't forget, cubs that are too wild and woolly and that don't spend enough time away from the den never make adulthood. Only cubs that are cautious make adulthood, and therefore only make cubs that are cautious. Look at this guy, or girl I should say, rolling around in this scrap of meat. I'm going to roll again. And perfume. No, going to pick it up and run away. Not allowed to let the brother share in it. I don't know the sexes, of course. I'm just assuming that the darker one is a female and the more spotty one is a male, just by our body language. We have yet to determine what the sexes are. No, and very submissive. See if we can see some carpal crawling from that youngster with the spots. That's when they fold their front legs in and they basically walk in on a carcass with on their front legs, on the ankles of their front legs. And it's a very submissive behavior. Let's see if that works to get some food. Oh, this other one has left her toy now. Go pick it up and run away. There we go. Make some space. There we go, there we go, there we go. No, come on. You can do it. Save it, save it, save it. And she'll eventually let it go. No, still got it. Come back as fast as you can. No, don't be such a bully. Let your brother play with his toy for a bit, man. There we go, well done. Also letting the other one now have a bit of a roll. Oh, lovely perfume. I wonder if they have some form of happiness or ecstasy when they're rolling around and getting it right and being smelt and not being smelt. Interesting. Right, now these adults have left the den, and because these cubs are still so young, we're going to be moving on after we say goodbye to you now. And just because we don't view lions that are this age, we don't view leopards that are this age after dark with any spotlights, and so we're going to be making our way out of this particular den. It's really been nice spending some time with them. So we're going to head and look out for something else, and in the meantime, you're going to be off to James.
Right, we're on the move now with the Sausage Tree Pride in infrared. It's not quite pitch black, but it's getting there. And the Pride is now decided to get up and go moving. I'm not sure what they're going to do. You can see the two lionesses, both fairly empty-bellied. The 3 or 4 cubs almost certainly going to ruin the first 3 or 4 hunts. And let's see what transpires. They're heading straight up the road towards where those topi and zebra and warthog and buffalo were. And there's a nightjar calling in the background there. Toop, 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 toop. Now when we drive, there's my face. When we drive, we will have to keep the camera on the animals because it's obviously getting pitch black. So if it starts to kind of jiggle about and looks a bit wonky, that's why. I think we're just going to tuck in behind them on the road. They seem to be moving onto the road now. And if you are unfamiliar with the infrared, It is a specialized light, and our cameras are able to very cleverly pick it up, but the lights cannot be seen by the eyes of animals, and so although we can see them pretty much broad as daylight when the infrared is on them, there they are, and I know it's black and white, but that's just to make the picture look better. Otherwise it's a kind of sickly green color. They cannot see any more than they would be able to in the pitch dark, and so we're not influencing the hunt at all if they go hunting. So we'll just gently ooze along behind them. Kruger says one going off to the left, and I wonder if this isn't perhaps the beginning of a concerted or coordinated attack. I'm going to follow her. I think she looks like she's on a bit of a mission. Oh, she's going back to join the others. Kind of eerie pictures there with the Olololo escarpment in the background and the sky not quite black yet. I think she just wanted a bit of privacy to go and relieve herself. The rest of the pride's still on the road in front, so we'll just gently make our way onto slightly smoother ground. There we go. Marvellous. Just give them a little bit of distance. That's interesting. Maggie, you say the one lioness that we're with still has spots on her legs, and will they go away with age? Maggie, sometimes they maintain those spots into, until death. So it's not always that they will lose those spots. Normally they do, but often you'll find adult lions with those spots on their legs. Sometimes they remain forever, and sometimes they go away with age. I must just reiterate, these cubs aged probably, some of them approaching 10 months or so, maybe up to a year. No, not quite. I'm going to say 8 to 10 months. You'll find that they are just a hazard now for hunting. They will just be a pain. Right, Pyjamas Patterson, all the way across the river, around about the Black Rock. Let's head back to them, or to her and her cubs and their feed. Ooh, lying right next to us.
They are too gorgeous, are they not? I can see how James pretty much instantly fell in love with them. Look at them. Just these little ears poking out over the top of Mum. They really are too sweet. They've settled for now. The lioness is replete after their zebra meal, and the little ones enjoying a moment with Mum. All 9 present and accounted for. I really look forward to watching this little group grow up. Love to know what... Fergus, did James work out males and females? I suppose they're so tiny.
Yeah, that's a good try.
Oh!
So tiny and always moving about.
Yes, they are tiny and they don't sit still, except when they're doing this, which makes it very hard to tell. Be nice to know what the mix is, and just how the numbers of the Black Rock Pride will grow if they all survive. Everybody vying for position. James saying the same thing across the river as Fergus, that we've got to get them to sit still first. Well, not sit, because that's going to make it even harder.
Yeah.
So we need them to all come and stand with their bottoms towards us in a row and not move. Might be a bit tricky. We'll get there. We'll get there. We're going to spend so much time with them, and I think it's something that will come pretty quickly. Sorry, there's a driver ant crawling over my toes, and it's really distracting. It's really quite disturbing. Oof. Go away. I'm just going to put my feet on the vehicle pedals. It'll be fine. I really wanted you to hear the nightjar that was calling, but of course, having loudly proclaimed its territory right next to these lions, it's now flown away. The rest of them are off to the left. There's one lioness, the other one is hidden behind the bush. No, wait, there's two. We've got both there. Tony, not in a sort of self-regulating ecosystem like this. So Tony's wondering if there's ever a situation where you have too many predators and not enough prey. Yes, every ecosystem has its tipping point, and essentially the population of predators will follow that of prey. If the number of prey increases, or the amount of prey increases, the amount of predators will increase just a little bit after that, and then it will plateau out. And then if the predators population continues to grow, the amount of prey will drop, and then the amount of predators will drop after that. So everything sort of reaches a relatively stable level out here when nature is left to her own devices. It's when human beings put fences in, and when we interfere with Mother Nature, that it becomes a different story. Oh, that's so sweet. I'm sorry, I'm distracted by the size of that one's ears. I was going to come out with a very salient point, but I've forgotten it in the face of cuteness. Oh, you little balls of fluff. Shame, Mum. Those teeth must hurt every now and again. One thing that is very much, or the one thing about lions is that they're a keystone species. They really do affect an area. So if there are too many of them in a fenced or closed area, in a small reserve, then yes, there can be too many lions and there might not be enough prey for them. And as a result, the prey species drop, and obviously they can't move in from other areas because there's a fence, and therefore it can be detrimental to an area. It's also detrimental to other predators. So if there's too many lions, then there won't be many cheetah, there won't be many leopards surviving. They are the apex predator. And they do affect the populations of other smaller predators. But that is really in a situation where human beings have interfered. Lady, is that where you've decided you're going to settle? Are the cubs now all going to follow you to where we can't see them? Possibly. Earlier on, one of the lionesses was trying to find a place to urinate, and the cubs decided they were going to try and suckle while she was trying to do that. It made me think there really isn't a moment's peace for mothers of young children and mothers of young cubs. Well, speaking of young cubs, of course, the Sausage Tree Pride have young cubs of their own to look after. Let's go and find out where they're off to now.
Well, I've no idea where they're off to. I think they might be off to that hill that they like to sit on. Sitting at about 10 o'clock now, right, Craig? It's got dark enough for me not to be able to see them at all now. And I'm rather hoping, well, we both are, that they're going to leave the cubs, the lionesses, and then go off on their own. That will, of course, give us a bit of a chance to hunt. Now, we're either about to cross a road or a large ditch. In case of the latter, it might be our very last action of this drive. I'm going to have to turn some lights on. No, it's a road for now, but there is a ditch up ahead. Sorry about the bumpy nature of this. This is just how it has to be. Craig is the only one who can keep them in view for us. There we go, big ditch up ahead. Ah, now we are going to be in trouble. Philippe, sorry, say that again. I can smell... you want to know if lions or other predators live in the... Kirsten, sorry, you're going to have to say that last bit again. Dilip, not Philippe. Alright, you want to know if predators live in the mountains. Some predators live in the mountains. Leopards, definitely. These lions will go up air, but not spend a huge amount of time in the mountains. I think that there is something dead around here, and I wonder if they aren't just snacking on that. Let's go and look down into this lagar, then we're going to have to try and find our way around it. No, they're moving straight out of it. Yeah, we're going to have to do a bit of a maneuver here, everybody. So let's head back across to Pajamas Patterson and her cats while I get around this lagar.
I know the feeling, James. Good luck getting around the lagar. I don't know which particular one it was, but I can just imagine. I know that area pretty well, and the sausages have led me through there many times. It's sleepy time for little ones. If I were James, perhaps I'd be singing a lullaby, but I don't think any of you want to hear that, and the cubs might get up and run away, so I won't do that. Out for the count. I always wonder what they must make of it. It's something I've been wondering throughout the migration. What they must make of the sudden arrival of these noisy creatures, because I can hear the wildebeest. I wonder if they're just too young to really comprehend exactly what's going on around them. Or if they're just young enough to just kind of accept it. Or if they sense excitement in the adults, I don't know. It would be interesting to know how they perceive this whole thing. I wonder where they'll be next year, when the migration comes back. Hopefully still here. You know what I'm really excited about, while I sit and listen and wait for the males to roar? Being on this side of the river, there is one male lion with a split in his nose that has the most distinctive roar I have ever heard in my entire life, and I cannot wait to show it to you. I know Brent is actually the one who pointed it out to me, and I don't know if he's ever managed to get it on camera, but I really would love to show you that lion's roar. It is odd, to say the least. And don't forget to send through your questions on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. We're going to sit patiently here, I think, for the remainder of the evening and just enjoy the sights in front of us and wait for the little cubs to get up and start moving again. Oh, these mothers have really done well. They've timed things beautifully. Those cubs are all very close together in age, and they've got the best possible place to raise cubs. Lots of secret hiding places. The perfect vantage point for the lionesses. It's really ideal. Must be so warm in that pile. I'm not sure, Ferg, was it smoothness? Smoothness, you want to know if lions' ears twitch uncontrollably. No, they don't twitch uncontrollably. There are certain movements that are involuntary in the way that they reflect the lion's moods. So if a lion is angry, the muscles contract and draw the ears backwards along with the snarl. What you will see is that when flies sit around their ears, because there are biting flies out here, there are tsetse flies as well, and when they settle around the edges, the sensitive skin of the ears, you'll see that the lion's ears twitch in an almost reflex arc. So it just responds, the nerves that pick up on the movement of the fly around the ears respond very, very quickly, and the ear twitches. So they twitch just like your dog or your cat might when something lands around their ears. But no, it's not really, they don't twitch all the time uncontrollably, and lions do have a large degree of control over the direction of the ears are pointing. All animals do. When there's something that they want to listen to off in the distance, then you'll see them immediately turn their ears towards that and create sort of little radar dishes in the direction that they want to listen in. The residual power that still is seen in certain human beings. People who can twitch their ears. Who did I meet? I met somebody the other day who can only twitch one, which is kind of strange. Now, I know that I can't twitch my ears. Fergus, can you twitch your ears? Neither Fergus nor myself can twitch our ears, but I wonder, and you'll have to ask him, perhaps he'll demonstrate, whether or not a Steph back in South Africa can twitch his ears.
Hello, I'm definitely still looking for something over here. The golden brown baboon spider, which I've promised both Louise and Megan and you to show you someone. It is around about the time of year when they're going to start, the males will start to walk around looking for females. We won't see a female golden brown baboon spider. They are sedentary inside their burrows. And I hear Jamie is wondering if I could twitch my ears. Jamie, I can't twitch my ears, just the same as I can't make funny bird noises or funny animal noises. I suppose I could, but I'm not going to try. I mean, can you imagine me getting it right to twitch my ears? The draft will blow sensor off the back of this car, and I'll never hear the end of it. So, we are getting a bunch of stuff. Louise says that she can twitch her ears in FC, and I suppose that's a good thing. I mean, you can be like a hippo and flick water out of your ears if you get water after a swim. You can do a bunch of things by flicking your ears, but definitely not something I'm going to be trying. Now, over the last 2 days, I have noticed in the mornings that the scorpion burrows that we're passing have some spring cleaning that's being done. So the scorpions are getting active again, and they're cleaning out their burrows, and once they start moving around, then you know that the ambient temperature in the evenings is getting to a point where insects are feeling energetic again, which is a good thing. It's also a good thing to look in these trees to see if you can find anything happening. What is that? No, not a golden brown baboon spider. These termite mounds are also very warm at the moment, comparatively speaking to the bush around them, and quite often you'll find basking snakes on their flanks. Particular snakes that enjoy living in these big termite mounds. Big python enjoy living in termite mounds, and a holy termite mound close to there we go. What is that? Deborah, what makes a termite mound go dormant is what you're asking, and that is, let's see if I can, there's a great duiker there. There's the eye shine that I saw. Let me just get my torch out the way. There's the eye shine that I saw that alerted me to that great duiker. That is, we've got our infrared on now, so now I can switch off our lights. So that is infrared light. We've lost the infrared light. Oh, there we go. It's back again. So that's our infrared light. And now we have zero artificial light. And we can look at this animal without disturbing it or spotlighting it in the bush. And you can see it is a grey duiker, that little black tail and the black face of the black nose and the crest of hair between its ears. And that reflection from its eyes are from it's called the tapetum lucidum. And it is a layer of light refractive crystals on the back of the eye, which basically refract light around and doesn't waste light by getting absorbed in the back of the eyeball. It moves off into the dark. One of the favorite food sources of leopard in this particular area. A grey duiker. Very nice. Well done. Good spot. Now we can go back to our normal light again. So I'll show you what it looks like. That's what we're seeing at the moment. That's what I mean by normal light. And then we are switching on our spot headlights so that we can see. Humans can't see in infrared. Some insects can. Some birds can see into the infrared spectrum of light, but unfortunately we haven't evolved that particular skill just yet. Now we were just answering a question about why do termite mounds go dormant? It could be for a whole host of reasons. The termite queen could die for some reason without leaving an egg. The termite colony could be attacked by a raiding colony of ants or another animate organism that feeds on termites, like an aardvark for instance, or a pangolin. They could also succumb to fungus, the cordyceps fungus. I'm sure, not that I know of, but I mean I know the cordyceps fungus affects locusts, ants, and bees, and I have no doubt that there'll be a type of cordyceps fungus that affects termites as well, possibly, and so you could get fungus infections, and so there's a whole host of reasons why termite colonies will go dormant, but usually a good sign is the fact that the sides of the termite mound don't have any grass on. That means that it's an active termite mound. All right, we're going to carry on searching for something interesting to show you in the dark. In the meantime, you're off to James and his lions.
Go live, go live, go live to Facebook. They're onto something. Hello everybody watching Facebook. We are now on the hunt with the Sausage Tree Pride. They got up, they started running towards something. I don't know what it is. Oof, there's something in there. We cannot get across this drainage system unfortunately, but she spotted something. Let me go a little bit forward. We're watching this entirely in infrared. My name is James Henry. If you've just joined us, Craig is on camera. This is the famous Sausage Tree Pride of the Masai Mara, and we're coming to you completely live. I'm just going to turn around this way. We can't get across this drainage system from here. You see the other lioness there, Craig? Oh, she's definitely spotted something. Please excuse the jerky nature of the picture. We have to keep the camera on her. We're filming it in infrared, so there is no artificial light on any of this. I'm going to try and stay with them. They're on a very awkward place now. You still got her there, Craig? Suddenly she seems to have stopped, and I had no idea what she got up to go at. They quickly dropped off the cubs, 4 cubs, got up and started charging down here. But now they seem to have calmed down. There's a deeply inconvenient ravine in front of us. We cannot get across. Now, Nick, you're wondering how many lions and lionesses in this pride? Well, there are 2 lionesses in this particular offshoot of the Sausage Tree Pride. There were 5 as far as I remember, but I think they seem to have split for the last little while. They could come back together fairly soon. And there are 4 cubs, one of which is very obviously whiter than the others and smaller. Beautiful little lioness. Between 8 and 10 months old they are. She's still got something in her very clever eyes. Now I must just, I can hear something alarming in the background. I must just reiterate, it is pitch black. I cannot see what you can see with my naked eye. We are watching this entirely in infrared, and any comments that you have or questions will be most welcome. I wish I could see what she's looking at. They were using the drainage system as a kind of cover. I can't see or hear any other animal. No, they won't, Ellen. You say, will one of the lionesses stay with the cubs? No, they don't do that. They will leave them. And they're very familiar with the area. This is known as their, this little drainage system that we're on now is very common, or commonly used by them for resting, hiding the cubs. They've definitely killed something, or something has been killed around here in, well, shall we say about a week ago. There is a distinctly foul odour in the air. There's the other lioness, suddenly. I don't know how she got past us. Oh, whatever it was, I think they've given up on it. Let me just reverse back a little bit so that we can get a slightly better picture. Let's just follow them for another minute or so. Just up ahead now, that's me saying hello to you, hello. I'm just trying to watch the monitor, see where we're going. They're the little cubs coming towards us now. And they, of course, will botch any potential hunt here, but they got up the lionesses so quickly and left them. Let's just quickly see what the lionesses are doing. Back to sleep. Oh, how disappointing. I wonder what it was. There were some very young topi around here earlier today, but they're much further up towards the escarpment. There were quite a few zebra, warthogs, so lots of potential prey in this area, and even some buffalo. Megan, you want to know if I'm going to be out all night long? No, I won't be out all night. I'll sit with these cats probably until they either do something or I decide that they're going to sleep for the rest of the night. And then we'll probably head back home. Well, that's going to be it for this little action broadcast, I suppose. It's got lots of cute factor about it, as these little cubs irritate their mothers, as is their wont. All right, everyone, thank you very much for joining us for this. I'm sorry it turned out a bit of a damp squib in the end, but that is what happens out here. It is, we never know what's going to happen. So keep watching your social media pages, and we will come back to you when the sausage tree Alrighty, let's head across to Jamie and her lions. They are not on the move, I don't think. I think they're pretty flat at the moment.
They are proper flat cats indeed. Most definitely not on the move, definitely not going anywhere. I'm just in the process of installing my thermal imaging system, which appears to be at a very odd angle. There we go. And I'm just keeping this up just in case, because I can hear the wildebeest off in the distance, and we know that during the migration the herds do wander about at night, and there's always the possibility that something might come wandering through this particular sighting. So I'm just making sure that I've got, rather than searching with a spotlight all the time, with these tiny little cubs we don't really want to keep any white light on them, which is why we're using the infrared. So we'll just sit and watch, and I'll keep an eye on what's approaching using. So far though, everything seems to be incredibly relaxed. Cubs are snoozing, Mum is snoozing, the zebra's snoozing permanently. Oh, face first into the grass. speaking of snoozing, if I didn't happen to know where he'd been, I would have perhaps thought he'd gone off for a snooze under a tree somewhere. Let's go and find out what's been keeping Brent busy.
Well, hello, welcome back. Sorry we've been gone for so long. We had to have a bit of a battle with some gremlins. We seem to have them sorted. So we headed down south towards Tanzania, and we found quite a lot of wildebeest and zebra all heading south, and this is sort of the end of them just off to the left of us here. They are sort of milling about. They're not quite ready to do the full run across. You got them there, Manu? Oh, there we go. Just put a bit of light down on the ground to help the camera. So there we go. And the Blackrock Pride with those gorgeous little 9 cubs that Jamie's with are actually completely surrounded by wildebeest and zebra at the moment. So they haven't even had to leave the den. It seems the wildebeest and zebra just walk towards them. So good for them. Great start in life for those little cubs, because I think it's not going to be too long now before they're going to the moms are going to have to start working a little bit harder to get their meals. A big thank you to those who ID'd that male leopard we were with earlier. So for those of you wondering, Kikarok Stream Male. So there we go. That's great to know. And I'm pretty sure we're going to be seeing a bit more of him while we are working on this side of the river. I hopefully and definitely intend to have a look for him again tomorrow morning. And there's also a female leopard that's just below Kikrok. I'm not sure of her name, but that's seen quite regularly, so I think that's our plan for early tomorrow morning, where Manu and I are going for leopards, aren't we, Manu? We are going for leopards. We've decided we haven't seen enough leopards. That's Manu's second leopard, so I decided that was just unacceptable. We need to get those figures well into their double digits, for obviously not only for Manu but for all of you at home. But we're going to start meandering slowly towards home. You never know, we might find something on the way home, so keep an eye out on that Facebook live moment. But we're going to send you back to Jamie and the adorable Blackrock Pride.
We're going to be doing something very similar, except rather than meandering home, we're going to be sitting tight and watching the little cubs for just a little bit longer. Now, the one that was off on the right all by itself got a little bit chilly. Now that the sun's gone down and the wind's picked up, and decided it had to go and lie on top of all of its siblings and cousins. Heard something. Sounded like the lioness. There you go. She's up. What you looking at, girl? Big yawn from her. Usually, when combined with licking of feet, it's usually a sign that the cats are preparing to get up. They don't really have a reason to, but you never know. As I said, the migration really changes all the rules. So it might be that she's planning on going somewhere. Absolutely, lion cubs do indeed behave in a very similar way to normal kittens. They are very, very social. Most of all, they are exceptionally playful. They like to chew things. They like to scratch things. And yes, apart from the fact that they are obviously quite a lot bigger, there are a lot of similarities between kittens and cubs. Of course, all part of the cat family, and naturally the fact that they live wild and that they are feeding off things that are hunted by their mothers will change certain aspects of their behavior. But they'll go up to mum and they'll suckle and they'll knead in exactly the same way, you know, the way that kittens do with their paws, and cats continue to do as they get older. When they're in a situation where they feel comfortable and happy, they start to stretch out their paws and sort of knead with them. It's something very special. I've seen lionesses do that to each other, so that instinct stays. It stays with them throughout their lives, when they're happy and comfortable. Oh, this lioness is up and she is calling, or at least she's not up. No, there she is. She's up. She's calling. She's going back towards the cubs, checking them out, making sure everything is all right. So remember to stay tuned. Keep an eye out for us on Facebook in case we do go live, in case something amazing happens. Oh, what a way to end off the sunset safari, because unfortunately it is time for us to do our goodbyes and our thank yous. As I said, remember to keep an eye out on Facebook. It might not be the last you see of us for the evening. A big thank you to Ferg for his wonderful camera work, to Kirsty in Final Control, and of course, most importantly, a big thank you to all of you. I really need to sneeze, but I'm going to try and hold off for the next 10 seconds. Now I've got 6 seconds. I'm going to do it, and I'll see you tomorrow on the Sunrise Safari.